Welcome to the heart of racing. Yes, we're back. This is the Good Oil edition. It's the start of autumn racing. I know we're midsummer, but if you want to do well in the autumn, you've got to be racing during the latter stages of summer. Will Freedman's here for another year. How are you, Will?
Very well. A lot happened in the off-season.
Mate, that much happened. Firstly, I could never get you on the phone. Where were you?
Well, lucky we got on the phone later. I was going to wear the same coloured T-shirt you're wearing.
Oh, well, you nearly did.
Just about.
Hey, autumn racing, it's also synonymous with the sales. And the sales season starts with the Magic Millions on the Gold Coast. Then they go to Karaka in New Zealand. Then there's the English Classic, English Premier, English Easter. There's all sorts of other sales in Adelaide and Perth and everything. You were busy at those sales, but it looked like it was hard going.
And it was hot. Like the averages were still up.
At the Gold Coast?
Yeah, at the Gold Coast. Karaka was good buying, I thought. Probably a little bit of a correction. Because you got to remember in New Zealand, there's a big trading market. So they buy horses to then sell to Hong Kong later or to the ready-to-runs. And there's only a limit you can spend there. But, man, every year we all think a correction's coming. But something that doesn't seem to lose fashion is things rich people want. So, like, rich people want racehorse.
Yeah, so the top end, like at Magic Millions, you could sit there and every now and then I just call up the sale and have a look at what was going on. I'd be watching, and there'd be some horse where the biddings at 240 and the previous three horses went for 360, 520, 180. And
it's crazy.
How can you get in?
No, it's becoming a bit of a contentious point in racing. The entry point's getting harder and harder. So it's an issue. Like, don't get me wrong.
I think yearling prices are a big issue. I truly believe it.
Well, what was so synonymous with Australian racing was that the everyday Joe could own a racehorse and have a runner in the Melbourne Cup. Well, firstly, you can't have a runner in the Melbourne Cup unless you've got $1 million to spend overseas.
And you buy an overseas horse and bring it out here and give it to a trainer. And
there's no development of these Melbourne Cup horses anymore. It's very seldom. I'm not saying that you cannot do it. I'm just saying it doesn't happen regularly.
It's very difficult.
So, and then you've got the Golden Slipper, which is one, and well, I wouldn't say one, but a lot of the runners are made up of those cult syndicates, the big buyers, the Henry Fields of the world, Godolphin.
Well, look at Stormboy, which has won the Magic Millions already. And
big
it's a
racing
$460,000 Justify yearling, which in terms of yearlings, you go, oh, well, that's actually a bit cheap for a horse that's now favourites for the Golden Slipper. $460,000. What I want to ask you as a trainer, so you and your dad at Rosehill, you have to be in it to win it, right?
Yeah.
Because without horses, you're nowhere.
Yeah.
So you've got to go to the sales. How do you go about it? You like some filly or some colt, then you go into the ring, you're bidding on it. Next thing you know, Kieran Maher's bidding, Gay's bidding, Coolmore. What do you do?
Well, you have a long list of horses that you like, and then you try and buy the ones you really like. And if you don't get the ones you really like,
and if the bidding's too hot on it, you've just got to say, well, I'm out.
Like, it's still a lottery. Like, Gay, that wouldn't have been one of the more expensive horses Gay and Adrian bought that year at Magic Millions.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been a mid-tier priced horse they bought. So it's not like the more you spend, the more success you'll have. That's what the market what the public don't always understand is that you can spend $2.5 million on a horse. Okay, your chances might be increased. It's a beautiful type. It's got a great pedigree, but it's still a lottery. Like Winx was a $230,000 yearling. So there's no rules. And I always say for the guys that buy a quota of yearlings, if you ask them right now, which horse from Magic Millions will be your best horse? So that's only maybe between at the upper end 20.
So from the Magic Millions sale just finished, if you go, okay.
Gay and Adrian, which one will be your best yearling?
They don't know.
They'd pick one, but I bet you 12 times out of 20 they'd be wrong, or 15 times out of 20 they'd be wrong. It's there's just no rules.
It depends which horse comes up and the whole thing.
But in Sydney, just to quote on it, Sydney's the most competitive market in the world. I am starting to see a trend in pedigrees where if your horse doesn't have enough pedigree, they might be able to gallop, but they sort of hit a limit. I've seen that a bit. Like if they don't have enough pedigree to become a black type horse, in Sydney, they just seem like they can't become them.
What do you mean?
So like if you've got a horse with a very plain pedigree, no stakes winners in the first dam and second dam, you find that even if they show they can gallop, they sort of have a glass ceiling on them While if you have a horse that's well bred and it can gallop, the sky's the limit. You know, like in Melbourne, you see a lot of horses that aren't regally bred,
More plainly bred horses doing
competing
well.
on Saturdays
Yeah.
at Caulfield and Flemington. If you go through the pages in the benchmark races in Sydney from 10 years ago to now, you're finding a lot more horses with better pedigrees filling up those fields than you would have 10 years or before ago.
But you got in, and obviously you and your dad, you partner up with professional buyers and things like that. But you got in, you bought a few at the Magic Millions, a few at Karaka.
Yeah, we bought the half-brother to Fashion Legend, which was probably one of our, not because it was an easy sell, it was we loved the horse. And
Fashion Legend won the Magic Millions 3-year-old for you.
The previous year. So that was a nice one to get. We got some others that, you know, a Capitalist filly, a Piarata filly. But we sort of played a little bit conservative from what we've done previous years just to test out what the buying appetite is. But it was so strong that we went to New Zealand last week and bought more there. It blows my mind that people in the current economic climate still want to buy racehorses. The prize money is still generating people that want to buy.
Prize money is something we're going to get to during the show today, because I'm going to raise it as a bit of an issue. You and I are going to get our crystal ball out for the year and a few headlines. I'm going to raise it as a little bit of an issue. Just before we get into the show proper, autumn racing is upon us. What are you most excited about? It's a little bit, everything's a touch earlier this year because Easter's kind of early.
I feel like this year is going to be the unearthing of some very good horses. I'm not convinced which horse it'll be. Like, obviously, we've got the
We need wait for age horses, Will.
We've got Think It Over. We've got Imperatrice, who are the headline horses. But I feel like there's a wave of young horses coming through now. And the 2-year-olds, I think this is a very good 2-year-old year. Okay. Often I say it's not a good 2-year-old year, trying to convince myself that my 3-year-olds will be competitive when we don't have any good 2-year-olds. But this year, I think all the ratings and the stats will tell you that this is a very, very strong year. And you're going to see some unearthing of some stars, particularly in the 2-year-old ranks. I think Storm Boy's incredibly elite.
Yeah.
I think Shangri-La Express is a forgotten horse, incredibly elite. I think that's Switzerland that we're going to get to later is elite. I think we've got a lot of elite 2-year-olds. I think the Golden Slip, I don't think there'll be a better race in the autumn than the Golden Slipper this year from a genuine traditionalist point of view.
Yeah, and wait for age racing. I'll talk about that just in a second. Normally, we'll start the show with the pineapple. We're not doing a pineapple this week.
We'll give him a break.
We want to get the show up and running.
Yeah, we need to do next year.
You're doing a pineapple
No, we need to give the pineapple from the previous year.
Yeah, who'd you give it to?
Well, I'm going to have to go through the nominations. Next week, we will present the pineapple. I'll get the pineapple, and I'll put some decorations. I'll bedazzle the pineapple.
Okay, next week we're going to bedazzle the pineapple and hand it out to someone. The Sayonara, the horse we're saying goodbye to, or whatever we're saying goodbye to. I'll start with mine. For me, it's two of them, unfortunately. Alligator Blood and Giga Kick. They've both been injured. You won't see them. I think they're gone. I think they're both gone. Alligator Blood won't be able to come back. He did an injury in a trial, a Paston injury. Giga Kick, ever since that Craig Williams ride, has been injured. Now it's out for the autumn. I don't like the look of it.
Seems a little bit over the top to be saying that Craig Williams' ride did this. Like, I know it was a bad ride, but I've had plenty of horses ridden poorly that don't come off and you don't see them for a year. Like, there was clearly something underlying going on.
Something was there.
But you're right. Like, horses that have, like, Alligator Blood, it's incredibly sad to see a horse like that go out like that.
But he was a ripper. They can't race forever.
No, they can't. But I think you'll see Giga Kick again, but I don't know if you'll see him this autumn. He'll be back for the spring. Someone will take a punt on him in the Everest, no doubt.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens there. Have you got a Sayonara for me?
Yeah, this is a little bit. I've got a bit of an agenda behind this. I was underbidder on this horse. It was 500,000.
At which sale?
At Magic Millions.
And you were the underbidder?
We were the underbidder. But Coleman, so I follow it intently because I don't want it to really make
Coleman's a 2-year-old from Melbourne.
Yeah, Matt
it
Laurie.
Won its first start.
Matt Laurie, very good trainer. Won its first start, has been favourite for the Blue Diamond pretty much since, but recently had a setback. It had a jump out last week. I just do not like 2-year-olds going to major targets that have had setbacks. They just cannot handle it.
It's favourite on Saturday in Melbourne.
I know. Well, I'm going to be pulling on its tail.
Sayonara.
So, yeah, well, with the weight of me, I put on a few kegs over Christmas, so it's going to have to pull me.
You don't look too bad for a bloke I haven't been able to get on the phone. Okay, the So Simple. What have you got for a So Simple for me from the summer?
That Gay and Adrian, we're going to win the 2-year-old classic. Like, this is one of the great training 2-year-old seasons you will see. Like, Gay spends a lot of money at the sale, always has.
Yeah.
But she's a very good judge of an expensive horse. Storm Boy was obviously, I classify 400 plus as.
So your So Simple was that Storm Boy just brained him in the Magic Millions.
Storm Boy or something else. It was like
there's always going to be one of their horses.
One of their horses was going to win the Magic Millions 2-year-old race. Like it's just that sort of year. It seems like there's one that pops up fully lit. A $70,000 Hellbent pops up 2 weeks ago. You know,
Gay and Adrian, they've had a string of good 2-year-olds.
Oh, it's just I've never seen anything. I've never seen winning 2-year-old races so potently to one trainer in Sydney. Like, and it's, as I said, it's competitive here. So,
look, Storm Boy looked the goods. It was a 5-horse field when he won his first race in Sydney. He went to Brisbane. He drew wide. He was carded wide. He was wide all the way. He did what he had to do. And after that run, I thought, oh,
is he that good?
Is he? Yeah, I thought he's good, but is he that good? And then in the Magic Millions,
then he did it again
with 200 to go. He just took off.
But it happened again. He got cast wide again. I know, in the Magic Millions.
He brained them.
Like, he made them look like second raters. And don't worry, Highness, Michael's horse that ran second, it was a $900,000 yearling. It's a beautifully bred, great type, and it just made it look like. He sort of said, "Catch me if you can," and then he said, "Oh, well, you're not going to catch me."
He just took off. It was a brilliant run. It was absolutely magnificent.
I think he could win the Triple Crown.
He could, but you got to go 1,200, then you got to go 1,400, then you got to go a mile.
I tell you what, though,
used to be harder when they were a week apart. Yeah. Now they're 2 weeks apart.
Justifies the real deal. Don't worry.
As a stallion, yeah.
Like,
I think he is
learning
too.
to fly last year. Obviously, had the incident in the Golden Slipper, but. It's had a Group 1 winning 2-year-old, I think, in US, England, Ireland, Japan.
Very difficult to do.
And Australia. Like, just unbelievable.
Yeah, he looks the real deal as a stallion for sure. And so my So Simple was Switzerland winning last week. So you say, Gay and Adrian, early season 2-year-olds, bang. It's So Simple. We should have been all over it. Storm Boy, we know that they're going to produce a horse like that. This was a classic Chris Waller 2-year-old that doesn't emerge till after Christmas. He doesn't sort of get too panic-stricken about his 2-year-olds. He's happy to bring them up later. And then it just went wacko the diddly-o last Saturday.
I spoke to Chris the week before. I think it was the week before. It scratched the week before to go last week. And he said, I'm not running that from 17. I went, If he doesn't really mind, if he doesn't think it'll win, he'll just run it and give it the run and then set it up for the next start. But there was a bit of an aura around that horse because I know Karen McAvoy, it'll be interesting who rides that horse moving forward because J-Mac usually has the pick of the bunch, but Karen's done nothing wrong.
And J-Mac went to New Zealand last weekend to ride in the Karaka Millions, which was fruitful because he won it all again.
It's like, and just on J-Mac, what's most interesting about Sydney now is the Sydney Jockeys Premiership. Like we've got, I think J-Mac's still like 7 behind or something. I still think he should be paying $1.05 to win it, but he's doing a lot more international riding this year, a lot more. Like he's going to Hong Kong most opportunities he gets.
But everywhere he goes, he wins, mate.
He is the cream of the crop. I think
everyone talks about Ryan Moore. Like, he's a great jockey. I just think J-Mac's the best jockey in the world. Wherever he goes, he wins.
But so does Ryan. Ryan comes here and wins the Golden Slipper.
Yeah, okay. Well, you made me look a goose there. Hey, mate, let's get into our issues. Let's get into Gates Fly. Interesting story this week. The Chipping Norton Stakes, famous, used to be run at Warwick Farm. It's at Randwick these days. It's going to become known as the Very Elleegant Stakes from now on. What did you make of that?
Before you start, we're going to have differing views here. Yeah. I know the traditionalist in you is going to find 3 horses that have won the Chipping Norton were more impressive.
Tie the Knot won it 4 times.
I get all this. But we're in an age where most people that are new to the sport have no idea
what Tie the Knot was.
Right. Like, we can't just live in this this era of like
past.
whoever did it the best in the past. Like I look at Verry Elleegant and I go, this is great because most people knew Verry Elleegant. She won the Melbourne Cup in the middle of COVID when there were no internationals over here. You know, she was just an iconic horse. Okay.
She was.
I understand that maybe the Chipping Norton could have been given to somebody else, but come on. Like we can't be complaining about, looking
I'm not complaining about it.
What would you have preferred it to be? A listed race for over 1,600?
I don't know. Like I know it's the first Group 1 of the season in August, the Winx Stakes, but I wonder whether the Chipping Norton's not a better race than the Winx Stakes, and Verry Elleegant gets the better one, and Winx does.
I don't think it matters.
Am I whinging about small things?
My problem,
I like that the Lightning Stakes in Melbourne is the Black Caviar Lightning. I think that's appropriate for that horse.
Yeah.
I think Winx is the greatest horse we've ever seen. I think it deserves to have a race named after it better than the 1,400-metre Group 1 race in August.
Yeah. I'd even argue that a race like the Queen Elizabeth
could be the Winx Stakes.
Or whatever. It called the Winx Stakes or the Verry Elleegant.
But Racing New South Wales aren't going to take anything
it's the King.
off the form. Yeah, well, it's the King Charles now, but they want King Charles to come out to the races.
I know. That would be I would go to the races to see King Charles.
Would you?
Yeah. My
Have
mother's
you ever seen the King or the former Queen?
No, my mother's a royal, loves it. So there's still a part of me that gets attracted to it.
I saw the Queen once. It was in 1982 when I was 14 at the Commonwealth Games in Brisbane on the day that Raylene Boyle won the 400.
Really?
Yeah, the Queen was there. I can still remember looking at her in the stand. She had a yellow outfit on. You couldn't miss her.
I have a question for you, though. It's not on our list. I want you to answer, though. With the Magic Millions,
yes,
they had the wanting to bring the jockey earpiece to do the interviews.
Yeah, before the race.
Yeah, before the race.
Yeah.
What was your view as a broadcaster and being through sporting broadcasts as well as you have? What do you think it would have added much, or do you think it was a gimmick?
I think it would have added something. I think racing's unique in that, we're in this era now where sports are at different speeds, and in Australia, there's a protection racket going on for sports stars. Like, you can't talk to an NRL player on the day of the game. You know what I mean? And the clubs make out it's all something that it's not, and you can't disturb them, and it's all BS, right? It's BS, and racing's unique in that you can talk to the players that are out there all through the day, and the jockeys behind the barrier. Look, that was about using Apple AirPods rather than putting a mic in their face, which they can do, and that is something that they're bringing in on like the PGA Tour and golf.
Or cricket.
Yeah, where the cricket, they can put them on and be interviewed during the drinks break. I quite like it.
So do I.
Do it. I think just do it. And then people were thinking that they were going to be riding with these earpieces in. They didn't know what they were talking about.
My understanding is that they were going to, when the horse is getting led round the back with an actual handler with a lead on the horse, is holding the horse, a quick conversation, I reckon it'd be fantastic. You can't change the tactics the trainer's given the jockeys.
No, and you can't change the barrier or anything. And the jockey can go, he felt good coming around.
That's what I mean. As an observer that might have my $10 each way on a horse, if James McDonald said, feels on song today, I'm really excited about this horse going in the gates. That's all I want. That'd add something for me, personally. So I thought it was a big hoo-ha about, and you always see the same people online complaining about everything. Everything's a problem.
I know.
It's like, why can't we try something, see how it goes?
Sport and wagering's competitive, mate.
It's not like it used to be.
No.
I think don't change. Sorry, I shouldn't say don't change. They want certain things to change that suit them.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's something that may not concern them too much, like, why would you bother doing that? We need to fix this, not that. It's like, you can't pay Paul unless you steal from Pete, Anyway,
I love it when the golfers on the PGA Tour or the European Tour, they've hit their drive and then they're walking down the fairway halfway through around. They're saying, I'm going good. I'm dirty about that birdie putt back on 6. What I tried to do here was put one over to the right because I want to eliminate that left bunker. I'm going to try and play a wet.
Exactly.
I want to know that.
It might
fantastic.
Say, why are you walking that horse away from the other horses, out the back?
Because 2 starts ago, it got spooked when something happened.
Yeah, it's something you don't know that they can add. They're not going to give them advice on how to ride their horse, and nor would a jockey listen to a bloody broadcaster saying this is how I think you should ride it and go, get stuffed.
Okay, well, Apple's going to sponsor the Freedman stable now because you're all for Apple
I'm all
AirPods.
for that. I can get them. Yep.
I
lose one a month. I lose one a month, so it would really suit me.
Oh, how bad are they? I had to buy a different brand of earpods and a different color.
Yeah.
Because of my daughters. You know what I mean? Like everyone in the house had Apple AirPods, and I went out and I bought a pair of Bose blue AirPods.
So they can't take
and
them.
If a 16 or 19-year-old's walking through my house with blue AirPods in, I go, you busted. Hey, let's get our crystal ball out really quickly. A few things that I think will unfold through the year and a couple of things that, like some headlines for the year. I think there'll be 2 racetrack stories. I think the Rose Hill sale will stall a bit this year. It's gone very quiet.
Has gone quiet. Agree with that. And
any word out there?
No, we
no
haven't
more
heard
briefings.
anything, but
this thing just dropped like an atom bomb and then just disappeared.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of a political play to be if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to us. Just seems like a lot of water to go under the bridge.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. One thing that was interesting was I didn't think it was met with a whole lot of resistance from the industry, which made me think, oh well, this will be a goer. Like they'll get this done, but there must be some hurdles that they're trying to get over.
Yeah, and then developers and money and finances.
Not much gets between people and $5 billion. So if it can happen, I'm sure they're going to make it happen. I
think the next headline we'll see that in Queensland, Doomben will start getting mentioned.
Well, it is ridiculous to have one track either side of
racecourse, either side of Nudgee Road.
Like, and no one trains at Doomben. It's just a racecourse.
Yeah,
and
just
trial.
a racetrack.
In my opinion,
they're right next door to each other. The Gold Coast is magnificent now. Caloundra, you could race there every day, and the track's fine.
Doomben would have to be worth a fortune where it is in Brisbane. Like it'd be a developer's dream, would it not?
Yeah, it's out towards the airport and everything. If for people who haven't been to the races in Brisbane, and a lot of people around Australia probably haven't, when you go there and you see the 2 racetracks side by side, it's bizarre.
I prefer Eagle Farm. I think it's the premier racetrack as well. Like everyone gets a chance at Eagle Farm every race. Like one of my favourite racetracks to race horses on. Like I very happily send horses to Eagle Farm. Doomben, they've got to sort of be more on pace than backmarkers. I feel like they don't get into it that much. But look, that'd be a great income stream.
I just think with the Olympics and all of these things happening, there's no money for racing in Queensland for a decade. I mean, there's none.
Yeah.
Then, like Eagle Farm and Doomben, if they go to the government and say we need some money to build new stands in the next decade, they're going to say it's just not going to happen. That's why I think it could be there. I also think prize money will become an issue this year. The squeeze is on in Victoria.
It is.
It's really on. Some of the Saturdays they started clipping prize money. Like I think the All-Star Stakes, they clipped it from 5 down to 4 million. They had to raise prize money to match what they're doing in New South Wales. Can New South Wales sustain it?
Yeah.
They have to sustain it because everyone's going to the bloody sales and spending a fortune.
All right, just indulge me for a second here. I have an idea I would love to see it in the Everest, but I'm not going to pledge that.
Yeah.
These slot races, you know how racing has missed the greatest trick of all time? One of the most marketable events in sport is the draft in a lot of sports. AFL, NFL, NBA.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Imagine having a draft for the Everest. Like slot holders just get given a draft pick, and people nominate their horse. They've just got to pick from whatever's there. Take away all the deals that get done. Have a draft. Pump that up. I reckon it'd be a huge,
and it'd be a great TV event. The thing about the deals that are done and people have invested a lot of money to buy an Everest slot, so they're allowed to go about their business. But they're all done behind closed doors.
We don't know what they are.
We don't know what they are. We don't know what's going on. We don't know what they've offered. We don't know what the owners are getting the slot holder.
It's lost a little bit of its allure that had early in the
Wouldn't
piece.
you love to see a draft where all the players had to sit there and it happened over the course of 2 hours and someone had to get up and say, we will give 60% of the slot money for Giga Kick?
Yeah, or they all just pay the same and then at the end of, it's a reverse placings order. But you can keep the horse you had the previous year. So you get Giga Kick, you can have Giga Kick for 2 years.
But
then
it
goes back on the open
draft.
Then it's got to be on the open market again. It'd be awesome.
I like it. You're an ideas man. I absolutely love it. Hey, let's get into this weekend's races. Look, the focus at Rose Hill the Canonbury and the Widden, they're kind of golden slipper lead-up races. They're quite famous. They're group races. The Canonburys for 2-year-old colts and geldings. I'll say this before we start talking about it. The races are a lottery. They're a lottery. It's going to be hard for you and I to give some tips. But in the Canonbury, colts and geldings, Traffic Warden for Godolphin, it was beaten by Stormboy in December, won easily at Caulfield a little bit after that. It's the $3.40 favourite. Fearless is a Pierrata colt for Peter and Paul Snowden. It ran 4th in the Breeders' Plate back in September. It's had 3 trials for 3 wins. It's won 2 trials recently. There's Prost, which is a Schnitzel colt for Gay and Adrian, which ran 3rd in the Breeders, and it's returning to the races. I think you're going to tip Prost because you're a Gay and Adrian 2-year-olds man.
I am. I like Prost. I also like Warden. I think they're the 2 picks.
Okay.
I think any Stormboy form's going to be strong. I reckon he's 5 lengths better than this lot. This is a
absolutely. He'd belt that lot.
Yeah, he would belt this lot. But these are this is a big important race for a lot of these horses. They don't win here. You can start saying sayonara to your chance of getting into the golden slipper. You need to be running in the first 3 here and be within a 3-length distance of the winner. If you're not there, you can forget about it.
You can forget about
winning.
They
send them out and put them out for their next 3-year-old year.
And just wait for the 3-year-old year. The Widden Stakes 2-year-old fillies. There's a Written Tycoon filly that ran 4th in the Gym Crack. It's won 2 trials since. Is the $2.15 favourite. That's Lady of Camelot. But your Uncle Michael has Manal. I think that's how you pronounce it.
I don't think
it won the Gym Crack and it resumes at $6.
I don't think it trialled that well, but it didn't trial that well leading into the Gym Crack
either.
I reckon the fillies, 2-year-old fillies, are not nearly as strong as
They're not as good as the boys at the moment.
The boys are miles ahead. Lady of Camelot, I think, look, it's had 2 trials. I like horses going into this time of year that have 2 trials. Everyone thinks you can get away with 1 trial, but when you're getting deeper into their racing career, they just need that tune up that little bit more. They're getting bigger, stronger. They've got more conditions, so they need to be that little bit fitter. It's sort of like NRL players that come off just 1 practice game or a half a practice game. The ones that have a few going into it usually start the season the best. So I'd be leaning towards Lady of Camelot only for that reason.
Okay, there's also the Group 3 TAB Southern Crossover, 1,200 metres. You have on the lead in the race as a bit of a roughie. Lady Laguna for J-Mac and Annabelle Neesham. It's hard to beat as the $2.25 favourite.
It's a class horse in the race. This is no vintage Southern Cross.
You like to give on the lead the chances in these races.
Yeah, I know. We've to be fair, we're not even sure he's going to run. If he runs, it's his last race. But I said that last start and then he won. We were going to let him ride off into the distance. But we're going to give him 1 more in a small field. It sort of sets up well. There'll be plenty of pace in that race.
Do you mean last race, or?
Yeah, retired.
This is
it. Going to give to his strapper, Amy Taylor. That's the...
Amy's going to take him in.
Yeah, as a riding horse. So, look, he'll be thereabouts. But, look, there'll be plenty of speed on in that. Even though there's only 1 horse that puts speed into it, Malkovich just goes flat out. He's one speed. So there'll be pace on. But I think Lady Laguna, as long as it can back up its peak rating from last start. So J-Mac helps.
Doesn't it? What? And it was good last start. Look, Caulfield and Eagle Farm, we won't bother getting into those too much. A lot of benchmark races.
Eagle Farm's a month away from starting their winter. Some of their horses
some of their some of the horses will race there to come down here.
I reckon Caulfield's probably a week away from really kicking into gear. We get the preludes, I think it is. They have the previews, then the preludes. It's a bit confusing, but anyway, they're
next week.
But even still, Coleman's going to run, and
Coleman's going to run, and I've got a tip later because there is a group race for mares over 1,200 metres at Caulfield on Saturday. We've got to do the Owen. Yeah. Now, the Owen is when we ring one of your training mates and they have to give us a dead set, surefire winner. We're going to dial him now. Who are we ringing? Cody Morgan again.
Hey, Will.
Hey, mate. How are you?
Good.
Okay. You were a real tragic last year. I think you had 2 cracks at it for 2 zeros, which we like now because the actual segment is called the Owen because it ends up being Owen 1, Owen 2, Owen 3. But I need you to tip us into at least a horse that's going to place. I can't have this go on again where I call all my mates and they realise we're all hopeless.
100%. All right, I've Hombre on Saturday.
Where at?
At Tamworth. Not even the place. So I'll put the pressure on winner.
Win.
Yeah.
Right. Who's riding?
So what's he tipped? Is he tipped this horse the place or the win, Will? He's
yeah.
your mate, Cody.
I don't know. I gave him an out to go the place, and he's taken the win.
The win. We're back in Hombre the win.
I've had a quick look at the race, and I think we can win. Braith Knock is on him, and he's state's leading apprentice, country New South Wales. So, he won't be too far away.
All right. If you don't win, I'm calling you back next week, and I'm going to give it to you, right?
You call me nearly every second day anyway. What would be the difference?
All right. See ya. Stop embarrassing me.
Okay, we're back in Hombre. Well, why don't we let him out with obvious stake? 30% the win, 70% the place.
We're not doing a Breenie. We're going on the win.
Mate, there's nothing. Mate, any price a winner. If you back a horse to place and it wins, there's nothing wrong with it. Listen, I'm going to put you under the pump. Stable mail.
Right.
This is every week now.
Right.
From the Freedman stable. What have you got?
I've got race 1 Bathurst.
When are they racing at Bathurst?
Tomorrow.
So Friday at Bathurst.
Yeah. Race 1. Rolling Magic. Blinkers on. Gelded. 2 Stone Lighter. Mint. Going to win.
Mint.
Yeah.
So you've had to put blinkers on.
Yep.
You had to geld it.
Yeah. Quality animal.
It's lost 2 stone.
Yeah.
From being gelded.
Yeah. No. It's lost the 2,
2 stones.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Rolling Magic. So we're putting all of our money on this thing at Bathurst so we can let fly on Saturday.
Yeah. So now you've got to tell me who we're going to unload on Saturday.
Lady Laguna. I think you have to unload on something you definitely think will win. Forget the price. And I don't mind Rote to Arataki first up in the group race for mares in Melbourne, race 8. And Rote to Arataki.
And I've got one powerful peg for the Chris Lee's camp. I think it's in the benchmark 78. I think it's race 8 at Rose Hill.
Powerful peg.
It's favourite, but it's
powerful
$4,
peg.
$4.30 or something.
Lee's stable on fire.
Huge. Had a really big
summer.
Really big.
Winning left, right, and centre. Will Freedman, see you next week.
See ya.